Hello again, iOS Scribbler here. In this video, as promised, we'll go over the folder structure for our journal app. If you're not sure what I'm referring to, feel free to check out my previous videos or find this mini-series under the playlist section on my channel. This series will guide you step by step as we build the journal app together. To help you better understand the structure, I'm not gonna use Xcode for this video, but I prepared a diagram to visually explain what we are trying to create. Keep in mind, this technique isn't the only approach, and is not necessarily the best for every project. You can adapt, add or remove folders based on your own needs. This is simply a foundational guideline that we'll use for our journal app, and it's one I found to work well for long-term projects. At the top level of our directory structure, we have three main folders: core, resources, and tests. For the beginning of this series, we will focus mostly on the core folder and resources. The core folder contains another set of subfolders. First, we have features, which we'll dive into in more detail in just a moment. Next is extensions, which includes suite files that extend existing functionalities, like a date extension, for example, to check if the current year is a leap year or not. And finally, we have utilities, where we can store custom styling, classes, converters, and other helpful tools. Next, in the resources folder, as we saw in the previous video, we can store custom fonts. You can also use this folder to store JSON, configuration files, audio files, and other resources. Now let's talk about the core folder. In the core folder, we have extensions. We can have extension on a view, on data, on date, on string, or int, on any class that you want to extend. Next is features folder, which contains subfolders for each feature of the app. Each subfolder represents a specific feature. For example, if there's a registration page, we'd create a register subfolder. And similarly, a login folder for the login feature, and so on. This way, the app is structured by feature, making it easy to locate and expand only the folders relevant to the feature we're working on. In addition to individual features, we also have a base shared folder. This will store common classes and components that are used across multiple features within the app. We also have the utilities folder here, and as mentioned, we'll place here the styling elements for the app, such as app theme color, app fonts, and also some UI helpers that will help us create the more adaptable UI in Swift UI. Now let's take a look inside an individual feature folder to see what subfolders it contains. Let's take, for example, the home feature, which is our main page of the app, and for now the only page that we'll be having. This folder will contain the views folder, basically the large screen page that the user will see when he first enters the app, the view models, the models, services, constants, and specific repositories. And last but not least, we will also have components. This folder will contain multiple files referring to small and reusable views. These components folder will also be in the base shared folder under the features directory, because we might need some small reusable views like text fields or containers that we want to use in our entire app. So the best place to put that folder will be in the base shared folder under the features directory. But if we have some specific reusable views that are only responsible to be placed in the home feature, then those views will be placed under the home feature. It's worth mentioning that for our app, the repository folder will only be used under the base shared folder. This way, the repository is accessible across the entire app, allowing us to access user journal entries whenever needed. That's why we're placing it in base shared, rather than within a specific feature, like home feature. And that's pretty much it for this video. In the next one, we'll start implementing this folder structure in Xcode based on our diagram.